A sharp slap from the court to Trump in the trade war. The full story behind the halt on the Liberation Day tariff. A president who once threatened to bring the entire world to its knees in the name of trade now finds himself bowing before a court ruling. U.S. President Donald Trump, known for his bold decisions and America First policy, has received a major setback as the U.S. Court of International Trade in Manhattan declared his Liberation Day tariff completely unconstitutional and imposed a full ban on it. This verdict is not just a legal victory. It clearly shows that in a democracy, no individual, not even the president, is above the law. Today, we'll dive deep into this very topic. But before that, if you are new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe so you receive updates on all our latest videos first. So let's begin today's discussion without any further delay. Let us tell you, this entire case is connected to Trump's tariff policy, under which he announced heavy import duties on countries that purchase less from the US but export large quantities of goods to America. This policy was named the Liberation Day Tariff and was declared for implementation by the Trump administration in April. Trump claimed it was a bold step toward eliminating the US's long-standing trade deficit. However, this policy was set to severely impact small and medium-sized businesses that rely on importing foreign goods to sustain their operations. It was these very businesses that challenged the decision in court. The case was filed on behalf of 5 small business owners, led by the Liberty Justice Center. Among them were a wine and spirits importer from New York and a Virginia-based company that manufactures educational kits and musical instruments. Their argument was that the tariff policy would destroy their businesses and that it was entirely unlawful. As the court began hearings, it became clear that this was not just a matter of trade policy. It was a test of the Constitution and the limits of presidential power. While hearing the case, a panel of 3 judges at the U.S. Court of International Trade in Manhattan delivered a historic ruling, stating that the tariffs imposed by Trump exceeded his constitutional authority. The court explicitly stated that the power to formulate international trade policy lies solely with Congress under the U.S. Constitution. No matter how many emergency powers a president invokes, they cannot overstep this authority. This decision essentially drew a clear line in the sand, defining the scope and boundaries of the U.S. Constitution. The Trump administration presented several arguments in opposition to the ruling. They cited a historic 1971 decision by then-President Richard Nixon, who imposed tariffs using emergency powers. The Trump administration argued that the current trade deficit also constituted a kind of economic emergency, giving the president the right to take immediate action in the nation's interest. They also claimed that determining the legitimacy of an emergency is not the court's role, but that of Congress. However, the court rejected all of these arguments. It stated that a decades-long trade deficit does not qualify as a new emergency situation and cannot be treated as a disaster warranting a hasty decision. The most significant aspect of the court's ruling was that it not only halted the Liberation Day tariff, but also delivered a powerful message regarding the limits of presidential power. The court further stated that imposing a uniform tax on all countries violates the constitutional principle that advocates for a balanced perspective in every international agreement and trade partnership. The abrupt suspension of a policy declared by the president clearly demonstrates the strength and impartiality of constitutional institutions in the United States. The impact of this ruling will not be limited to Trump's policy alone. It is likely to become a milestone in preventing any future president from misusing trade powers. The court's decision ensures that a balance of power remains intact in the U.S., and that no single institution or individual can take full control of the entire system. Now the question arises, what happens next? According to experts, the Trump administration may appeal this decision to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. If that court also rules against them, the case could go directly to the US Supreme Court. So, this legal battle may still continue for a long time. However, in the meantime, this decision is being seen as a major relief for small businesses and importers who were the most affected by this policy. From a commercial standpoint, this ruling is also highly significant. In an era of global trade where every nation is trying to progress through mutual interdependence and partnerships, unilateral and politically motivated tariff decisions can create tensions in international relations. Trump's tariff policy had already strained America's ties with several of its partner countries. India, China, Europe, Japan all had at some point raised objections to Trump's tariff decisions. And now that the US court itself has declared the policy unconstitutional, it may well set a new precedent for global trade moving forward. Looking at the economic side of the matter, Trump's policy would have had a direct impact on American consumers. When high tariffs are imposed on goods coming from other countries, their prices increase. This directly affects the wallets of American citizens who purchase everyday items. Due to Trump's tariff model, many companies had already voiced their opposition and consumers were facing the burden of rising prices. On the other hand, the court's ruling has strengthened America's constitutional commitment on the international stage. It sends a clear message that the US is governed not by brute force or pressure, but by the rule of law and the spirit of justice. When small business owners stood up to fight for their rights, the judiciary supported them, becoming a remarkable example of how democracy works. Experts connected to the case say this is one of the most solid and balanced rulings so far, as it clearly defines the boundaries between executive and legislative powers. For leaders like Trump, who seek to expand their authority, this serves as a stern warning. The verdict makes it clear that no authority can exceed its limits under the guise of an emergency.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources: news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.